Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday evening episode of Drawing Hive. Um, as you can see, our big Visual Arts Passage logo right in the center. Just a reminder, that's where Drawing Hive comes from. Visual Arts Passage is a mentorship program, the online mentorship program that helps people develop careers in illustration and as gallery painters. And if you are interested, our goal is to help people become professional artists and work in the industry. If you have interest, check it out. I think you'll find some interesting stuff there. So tonight, we have a fun topic, well, a topic that actually Timmy and I have talked about a lot. Um, and Tim, kind of jokingly, we're going to do the many faces of Nick Cage, and jokingly, I think there's a stigma where, silly guy, whatever. I think he's a great actor. I've always thought he was a great actor. You'll probably think I'm nuts, but I love a lot of the movies he's done, especially early on. We have our first post tonight is from Con Air, and some of the stuff gets silly.
Yeah, it's my
Uh,
hair. That's my hair mood board right
yeah,
there.
there you go. Um,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna do three poses, 220 and 140. I got four pieces of reference. Here's the second one from Face Off. The third one is from, this is actually one of my favorite movies of his, The Vampire's Kiss. And so I'm glad we're doing that. That's when I thought he was just out there. And when I realized he was just out there, and really, really did enjoy this movie. And then the last one is from Wild at Heart. And you got to draw that jacket, right? That's one hell of a jacket. So we're going to do three poses, 220, 140. I've got some really fabulous artists that are joining us tonight. Adam Gustavson and Raymond Bonilla are here. They're here to make me look bad. Um, that's what they do. And I think we're ready to go, Timmy. I'll be back with some little bit of educational stuff later on.
Yeah, and just a reminder, we like to share our art on the show. So if you're drawing along with us, which if you're tuning in, I mean that's a big part of this. So please draw along with us and share your work at the end of each pose. You just post it to Instagram with hashtag drawinghive239. Hashtag drawinghive and visual arts passage. Put that in the caption, and we're gonna show it on the show. We tonight's a big night because Cassandra, it's her one day off of the year.
I couldn't believe you guys would make that Nick Cage night.
We
Right.
we thought about just fully canceling the show, just shutting it down, retiring, drawing Hive. The idea of doing 1 week without Cassandra.
Cassandra Snow Day.
Yeah. So but we got Ray and Adam here, and it should be a good time. So please feel free to ask questions. I'm going to open the chat up right now and use that to ask questions. At first, let me get it open first. Um, Toggle it to everyone instead of host and panelists, and tell us where you're tuning in from and what materials you're using tonight. Ray, Adam, good to have you guys in the room. Yeah,
Great to be here.
Cassandra
Face
kind
off,
of
face off. You get
face
it?
off, right? Face off. Cassandra kind of was begrudgingly supportive of us doing Nick Cage when she wasn't there.
The begrudging part, I believe,
Yeah,
because this seems like her tailor-made, like sort of movie reference.
yeah.
I mean, I viewed it as a direct assault on Cassandra. So
I'm a big fan.
by Timmy and John, of course.
Right.
I'm a big fan of Nick Cage all around, but I was explaining to John, I was like, I understand he's a good actor. I think he's a good actor, but there's another element of Nick Cage, which is like the internet's fascination with him,
Right.
which seems to have nothing to do with his skills.
Right. Right.
And everything to do with just his weirdness.
Right. His memeability.
his meme ability is off the charts.
He was like early in his career, he was like heralded as like the next great
He was.
kind of like Stallone, right? I mean, like in terms of
No. Next great
well,
actor.
but no, I'm talking about like in Stallone after Rocky 1.
Yeah, people
Rocky
forget that
1.
Stallone is like
You had a
one
good
of the most
start.
highbrow,
Yeah.
one of the most highbrow actor like writers.
Yeah.
That's legend, like laid the path for I mean,
Yeah.
that's why we have Good Will Hunting. Did you know that? That was like the template that
From
Matt Damon and
Ben
Ben
Affleck.
Affleck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Studios would not let an actor write, yeah, or like wouldn't let writers act.
And also like Stallone was viewed as the next Brando after the first Rocky.
Right.
But you know,
I haven't
and that's why
seen
we have
Rocky
Cobra.
since I was a
That's
kid.
right. That exactly.
Yeah. What was the one?
Did we just pre-book a Stallone night?
Yeah, I think we did. What was
Oh
the
yeah.
God, what was it?
The Expendables?
Rhinestone.
Yeah, no, yeah, Ray. You think John was gonna say Expendables?
You know, I could dream, you know?
The movie he was with Dolly Parton, wasn't that the
Yeah, that was
Western?
Expendables, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dolly Parton was definitely on Expendables. I think she was on the third one.
That was rough. That kind of turned me away from Sylvester Stallone.
Hey, you can't teach taste.
That's right.
Expendables turned you off with Sylvester Stallone?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say if that's the case, then he
Rhinestone.
had a good run in your mind.
No,
you know?
I was the movie he did with Dolly Parton, Rhinestone. I think that's the name of it.
Oh,
He was a country western singer. I mean, it's just
Wow.
it was rough.
It's a big swing.
That's I mean,
Cobra was pretty rough too.
You know what?
did you know
It's-
Cobra was originally? Do you know the story behind Cobra? I know this is Nick Cage night, but
Yeah, we're talking
that-
about
they originally when they were before they pitched Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop, they pitched it to Stallone,
yeah.
and he was like, "No, I'm not. We're not gonna.
Nick
I'm not gonna
Nolte's
do this. I'm not
part?
gonna."
Nolte's part?
Yeah, yep.
Wow.
And he was like, "No, I don't want it in L.A. I want to rewrite the character. He's got to be a lot more meaner and grittier." And basically, the plot ended up being Cobra.
Oh, wow. No, I didn't know that. I knew the first part of that. I didn't know that the rest of it was Cobra.
Yeah.
Well, that was a
So we
Nick
have
Nolte, Eddie Murphy was a great pairing. That was really interesting, I thought.
It's you know, if you ever want to feel better as an artist, and
sorry,
because
Axel Foley. He would have played Axel Foley.
Right,
Sorry,
right.
Timmy. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, if you ever want to feel better as an artist, though, like all these artists that you say, oh, they're the best, they're the great, like they all have just like absolute stinker films. And it's amazing that some of them still manage to like be A-list, you know?
Yeah, but
And the one, like, have you ever seen Denzel Washington do a British accent? It's hilarious. I'm trying to remember the name of the film, but it's one of the worst performances I've ever seen in a movie.
what was it? I can't think of it.
I'll look it up, but then there's like, I mean, I think maybe the person with the longest runway of bad movies, just back to back bad movies, but still people think of him as A-list is Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
The guy is a powerhouse of bad movies.
Yeah. Done a few great ones, so
Yeah. I mean, it's really just a testament to how great he
Schindler's
has
List
been.
was, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were like he had Schindler's List has carried him.
No, he's just kind of on the back nine, I think.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I heard
Yeah.
an interview with James Woods once where
Yeah.
he was just, aside from anything else about him, but he was asked about like his track record for movies.
Yeah.
And you know, his having a reputation for like, you know, doing some really good
yeah, did
movies,
some great ones.
roles, right? And then, you know, a kind of checkered critical history. And he got defensive, but in a kind of he made a point. He said, like, when was the last time you saw a really, really good movie? It's like,
Oh,
how
yeah.
many of those do you think get made, and how many of us do you think are trying to be in them? Like, sometimes you just have to work.
Yeah.
He's like, I like
Yeah.
acting, so sometimes I have to act in bad movies so I can be an actor.
But the Pope of Greenwich Village, was that
The Denzel movie was for Queen and Country. It's really bad.
Oh,
But you know what you say? The James Wood thing reminded me. It's like I saw an interview with like Mark Wahlberg, and he's just like, I do all of this for my family. And you're just like, I think that's done. Like, you don't have to do
right.
more. Like, you can stop making bad movies now.
Unless the family is like, Mark, get out of the house.
Yeah.
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 Don't you have a
Yeah,
movie to make? I'm trying to do my homework, Dad.
yeah, no, I don't think that his kids are like, what can we can't do anything with what are we going to do with 200 million?
Right.
You know? Yeah.
He
oh,
did
Um,
act in a movie
Nick
with
Cage had
Danny
a Nick Cage had an amazing, like they were quiet. They
Red
were
Box Run. I agree.
we're gonna have to work. We're gonna have to work. We're talking all over each other. We're gonna have
Sorry.
to work on it. Sorry. Ray.
okay. So I think Nick Cage had an amazing run right at the beginning, right after Valley Girl, and when he did Racing with the Moon with Sean Penn, he did Birdie, which that was with Matt Modine, I think. And what was the other?
Are you just listing off your favorite Nick Cage movies?
I am. They were all really. They were really different. They were really quiet movies. They weren't
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
they weren't like action thrillers to
Yeah.
an extent, and he really showed some serious acting chops.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Um,
Moonstruck. That was the other one. I thought he was great in that.
he had a very interesting commentary recently. He made a pretty I'll dig it up for later in the episode, but he made a pretty big swing uh talking about AI in an interview that I actually really enjoyed his perspective on AI in regards to entertainment and acting, and I loved it. I think it's interesting for somebody at that level to make a stance on that. That's great. Um Adam, what are you what are you using? You're doing graphite tonight?
Yeah, so far I'm doing graphite. And then I'm looking to see what I've got in my bag. So it might just wind up being graphite and gouache. And we'll see
Nice.
what else I have around here.
The
So
art
let's-
bag.
The art bag, the
Yeah.
roving art bag.
Yeah.
I've been called worse.
I'm kind of saving mine. I'm not going to do anything till after I do my educational thing.
Nice.
And you can do it whenever you want, Timmy. Yeah.
All right. I think we'll give it a minute or so.
Yeah, see what I think Ray ran into it issue.
Looks like Ray got some tech happening.
No, I'm here. I'm here. I'm just switching over to a traditional rig here.
Oh,
Oh, nice. So
you're
you're
gonna
doing
paint.
you doing a little tradigital tonight?
Yeah. So well, I was just editing my reference. You can learn
Okay.
more about how I do that and why I do it.
Yeah, let's hear it.
If you take our classes. Well, it's a pretty long explanation, but I like
Oh.
editing all my my references in Photoshop, so I could push color and things like that.
Yeah.
Gives me a nice base.
You're
And
gonna laugh when I share mine, Ray. There's some similarities.
So you're saying you just kind of push, what else do you do? You push the colors, just kind of like
Yeah.
do you just ramp everything up in general?
No, I add color zones to the face, yellow, red, blues.
Yeah.
Push things warmer or cooler, reconfigure composition sometimes. So if I don't like if I want a different
Yeah.
background, I'll do that.
Looks great, Ray. Can you send it to me real quick?
Yeah. Do you want me to send it to you, John? Okay.
No, I'll just do a screen capture.
Yeah. Here.
I'm fine.
Snap your photo, everybody.
I
And
knew
so
you'd
then
like this one.
And so that just gives you a better starting place. for when you
Yeah,
start
and so
finishing?
that like, it's so that I don't have to be like, I wonder what the color would be like if it was a little bit more yellow. I don't have to ask myself those questions. I could just enjoy the act of painting from observation, which is like where I'm having the most fun.
Is there a reason you chose this one, this image?
Yes, it's got really nice strong lighting.
Ooh.
And it's got them in shades, which is awesome. And yeah, it's got a really nice background too. Very clear. It's clear. It's easy to see. Yeah, nice strong lighting, which has good shadow shapes. Um, it's really well lit, so it's I could see my shadows and my lights. So that's good reference for me. That's reference I could use to paint from and get a successful image.
Really solidified shapes and a nice variance of cast shadow and form shadow. Have hard edges and soft edges.
John, before we do our educational thing, I want to just tell people about this. For next week, I finally did it. I'm back in the groove. I'm booking guests. And we've got our first guest next week of 2025. I know it's the end of February, but
Wow.
Kai Lun-Q,
Oh.
really exciting, some awesome stuff. Works with Marvel, DC, really awesome digital painter. I'm excited about it. It's gonna be fun.
I'm excited about it.
Go to the website. Yeah, John, I don't think I had shown you that yet. Pretty exciting.
Well,
Should
we
be
can't short Adam and Raymond either. Those are good guests. They're
they're
they're,
great guests.
they're
They're
kind of
great
That's
guests.
pretty.
they're kind of common.
Adam's great. Adam's great. Adam's pretty good.
I'm not a guest.
And,
I'm the
and,
guy who
and
walks in and raids your refrigerator.
yeah,
I've made myself completely at home.
Our audience becomes desensitized to
Yes.
the panelists they get access to every week.
I know, it's like, what else you got?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
It's always sad.
I can get Adam anytime I want. Anytime I want.
Right.
Anytime I want.
Yeah.
Oh, so funny thing happened to me last week is I wasn't here because I was at a figure drawing night in town. And I looked behind me and there was George from our Drawing Hive broader community.
Oh wow.
Who's
very cool.
we see him every night on Instagram at the end.
Awesome.
Amazing. Worlds are colliding.
Yeah.
What town was that in?
That was in Milburn, New Jersey.
Oh,
All right.
cool.
George just said hey. John, do you want to go ahead?
I'm totally ready to go.
All
You
right.
don't have to. I'm not
It's-
going to ask you to any sound.
no intro, nothing. You're on your own.
I figured you just kind of dropped the ball on that.
I did. I did.
It's all right. That's what I'm saying. Same old, same old. It's just John.
Just getting used to it.
Yeah, here we go. Sorry, I had to.
No, it's all good. Enter full screen, right? Down
Yeah,
at the bottom.
I gotcha. How about? All right. So,
Nice.
I'm doing something topical tonight, and it's it relates a lot to what we're doing here. It also relates to something that we're going to be doing at Visual Arts Passage. But and to do this, I want to talk a little bit. I know I talk about my dad a lot, and I apologize for it, but he's a good person to talk about as an artist. I just want you to look at the piece on the right, the shape design, the value control, how well the shapes read. I'm not going to show a huge amount of his work. I'm just going to walk through a couple of very important things that he did as an illustrator. Not genres that he did as an illustrator. He changed so much. He chased really hard. He opened up the doors for a lot of other illustrators to kind of go forward from him. This was a series of he did all the Shakespeare plays for Bantam Books, and actually Bantam bought all the originals and hung them in their corporate offices. But but he tried so many different things. He approached so many different ways. This is when he started painting, all the way from collage work on the right, on the left, landscape on the right. Very shape-driven artist, um, phenomenal drawer, and he had a really unique way of explaining picture making. He had really analyzed it, and he was a great teacher for that. And I think Sterling, Timmy and I spoke at VCU recently. Sterling introduced us and talked about the influence that Mark had on um, education of illustrators and how many professionals he affected in their careers. And it's pretty immense. Um, here's some figure work that was really straightforward. I mean, it was like beautifully designed, beautifully done, drawn very accurately, and then some things that are much looser, much more different aesthetic in the drawing. So I wanted to show that, and one of the things that came about was this. He created a couple of different directions or a couple of different assignments that were really iconic to the way that we taught. And the Academy drawing process, I call it Mark's Academy drawing process because he literally created it for students to make it easier for them and for making it easier to understand how to draw the figure, how to see the figure and draw the figure. And here's some things. These are, by the way, this is a 36-inch piece of paper, and it's about a 25 or 30-minute drawing maximum. These are 20-minute drawings on a little bit smaller paper, 28 inches tall. One of them, I'm drawing on one of the, I'll be drawing on the same piece of paper tonight. But he had the ability to get the message and deliver the information so simplistic, in such a simplistic way. And it's like it's really hard to duplicate this, or it's really hard to do this and dumb down the crudeness or the attitude of the drawing because the information's so damn good. I mean, it's a really hard thing to replicate. And I love that he considered learning this process started with learning how to see and shape. And everything, I'll explain it a little bit further. Here's another great demonstration that he did for the students. Almost all of these were demos for students. And he could tighten up when he wanted to, and then look at the one on the right. It's a very fast drawing. It's very loose, but the information is just absolutely dead on. What's a cast shadow? What's a core shadow? What creates a hard edge? What creates a soft edge? He could pick this up, walk out of the drawing session, and do a painting from it. The information is all there, but in a pretty loose way. And then this is the same process that he showed by being able to do a head or draw anything this way. And so he did the one from the right from a statue and the one from the left from a piece of photography. And here's what it looked like at the Academy. Timmy's probably start sweating just showing this photograph, thinking about what a lift that was to pull that off. On the right there, that's Bill Sienkiewicz. That's George Pratt. That's my father, Natalie Hall, Hector Casanova. But just pay attention, when my dad started drawing, everybody watched. People would gather behind him because he did it so well. He was so, he did it with such ease. And so here's a group of others. Other people have done it, past students and instructors. This is actually from a guest speaker last week, Vanessa Del Rey. She showed a couple of figure drawings she had done at the Academy. She's a fabulous drawer, but she learned this. She does a lot of line work now, but she learned this process and talked about how valuable, she even talked about how valuable it was the other day. I didn't have any exact figure drawings of Ashley, but Ashley does this process extremely well. Just happens to be one of her finished illustrations in pastel, but it's the exact same approach. Jane Radstrom was phenomenal at it. And this is the first drawing Bill Sienkiewicz did like this. He was sitting next to me, and he asked me, he was drawing in ink to begin with. He goes, everybody's drawing in different in the same material. He goes, I want to try it. And so this was the first attempt at it. He figured it out fast. This is a Gary Kelly. This is John Foster. He was incredible at it. Still is. Sterling Hunley. Love the simplicity of the one on the right. And these they look away. They're all done in the same material. They're done on mid-tone papers, and there's a reason for it. This is the great George Pratt doing this process. A really emotional drawer. This is somebody that drew in the line all the time. And he saw my father do this process, and I just got to figure out how to do this. And he put a huge amount of effort into getting good at this, and he's fabulous at it. These are some demos that I've done. Some drawings. One on the right is a demonstration. Starting from the vague and moving to the specific. But this is kind of how this process works. I start with mid-tone paper, one pastel as a light and one pastel as a dark. And I think I may have put a little bit of cool color into this one, but I first block it in, just try to identify the shape, the silhouette shape in light pastel. And then I put the dark around the back, around the outside of the flesh. And in a couple of areas where it was going to go darker, where I actually came into the flesh. And then I take the broad side of my hand, just flatten my hand out and rub it all together and create something that's totally different than the two pastels I'm using in the background, the paper. It's its own unique silhouette, kind of a ghostly figure. Then go back in and carve in with a little dark and a little light, and it's done. It was when we started teaching at the academy, everybody would come in, I'm generalizing, most people struggled drawing the figure from life. Even if they had before, they would want to do they want to do the finished work at the beginning. And so my father came up with this process where you work from the very vague to the specific and do all the finished work at the end. You can finish and polish it as much as you want. But you start in a very loose manner and you identify the shape, and it teaches you teaches you how to see value, teaches you how to see shape and control shape with value. I can do clothed figure with it. Again, I'm not getting into any detail. This was a foundations class I taught, where I was teaching people how to do it, and we did mostly clothed figure. These aren't like really polished drawings or anything, but they're 20-minute drawings. These are from photography, not from life, because we did them online. But I was teaching people how to see folds, how to see the directional light, get the overall shape. The one on the left is not a 20-minute drawing. It's a demonstration I did of just showing how you could use this same process to do a complete piece. I did these in a foundation class, these statues showing value control, that, silhouette of a light shape against a dark background and silhouette of a dark shape against the light background. And learning how, I clicked it too soon. This is a portrait of my granddaughter I did as a gift from my daughter about a year ago. The Joker, but that Joker, I shot it like in the middle of what I was doing when we took a break, and I took a photograph of it. The whole thing was laid in with this really flat silhouette shape, and then I worked a light value back into it. And you can take it to as high a polish as you want to. I can draw heads with it. I found that I saw this the other day where I was enveloping. I was showing how to just put silhouette shape down and showing what an envelope was. So I talked about it in here the other day, and it's something I do frequently. A portrait of John Lennon started the same way. Just find the shape first. Everything will fall together. Georgia O'Keeffe on the right. I don't know the actress's name on the left. These were done in Drawing Hive. And I like, this is actually the one on the right. It's one of my more successful drawings, I think. It's got it's got a looseness. It's not perfect. I think the information's pretty good, and it fits the subject matter really well. These are a little bit, well, the one on the right is a true 20-minute drawing. I was very proud of myself on that drawing of Gustav Klimt. One on the left, I was really digging and kind of channeling oh my gosh. I can't believe I can't.
Bruce Payne?
No. Oh my gosh. What am I?
Wired saying fetching.
Nicolas
Fetching.
Cage. Thank you. I kept getting, kept wanting to say Nicolas Cage. It was the same name.
I had my mic muted. I was yelling it. I was like, fetch it, fetch it.
One of my heroes, and it's one of the first people I looked at as an artist. And I was channeling him. I have that drawing right over there. These are big. I mean, that head's 18 inches tall. And I took multiple sessions to draw that. I drew it. It was one of the one night drawings. Anyway, that's it's it's the way I approach almost all the drawings that I do. Timmy, we can go back to the other. I'm going to stop sharing. And it's as much about seeing as it is drawing. And it's helped me immensely as a drawer over time. I know Adam learned that process. I think Ray had an instructor that taught this process, Bill Mon.
Mhm.
And I don't know if Ray encountered it or had to draw that way, or if you saw Bill do demonstrations this way.
We saw Bill talked about it, and then I also saw your dad do it online, and it made total sense when I saw him do it because we were talking about the same things, like establishing the shape, the overall shape, always working general to specific, pretty much everything, good light and shadow patterns, that core design, that two value statement,
Yeah,
being
it's
the utmost importance, not detail.
it's the it's the ability to identify the shape and simplify it and start with that, and then add whatever information you want to with it as you move forward. Timmy's got
If
something.
anybody, did you find that interesting? Because if you did, John's got an entire 3 week long workshop. It's one of our it's like a micro mentorship where it's going to be 3 weeks. You get access to 6 classes, totally friendly to beginner to advanced. And it's coming up soon. So I highly recommend it. I saw Julian chimed in about how great this like learning this process is and learning the foundations, but like John, it does cover like a lot of ground, whether or not you're brand new to it or
Yeah, I mean,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would definitely approach the figure itself, just trying to, and again, we're not going to get into in 3 weeks. There won't be a tremendous amount of anatomy. It's more
Right.
going to be training yourself to see and how to start. And
Yeah.
then you can bring in, and I'll demonstrate how to, everything that I do, how to bring as much polish to it as you want. But
Yeah.
I'll do that with a figure, I'll do that with a clothed figure, and I'll do that with a portrait, doing a head drawing.
Yeah.
And
So
it works for all three.
yep. I dropped a link in the chat. So if you're considering it, go check it out. I highly recommend it. It's definitely a hit the ground running class. So you're going to learn a ton in 3 weeks, like a lot.
great course. I sat John was gracious enough to let me sit in on the classes, and I learned a ton. It's really great information, and to see the improvement on all the students from their first drawings to the last, it was like, whoa, where'd these people come from, you know?
Yeah, so if Ray's sitting in and saying, wow, this is amazing and interesting,
Ray,
that means something.
I think Ray will get a kick out of this. So that's pretty much the cropping Ray had. He had maybe a little bit more, a little bit tighter, but it's pretty much the same. So we did not communicate before. I work from black and white because I want in fact, I'm probably going to draw this just in one pastel, but I wanted to show what I do, to get likeness and to be fairly accurate is very similar to Cassandra. And I hope that she would say she picked this up from me. I quarter my piece. There's the center line of his head from here to here. And so I kind of put darker marks on here. I don't always do that on the photograph so aggressively, but so there's a center line of the head here. Here's the two outside lines. This is the center from chin to the top of the hair. And it kind of gives me an easier way to get started and to transfer it because I draw really big. So there's my hand. So that's that drawing's going to be the head from the bottom to the top of the head is probably 15 or 16 inches. And I like to draw big. I like the mark making, but I want to simplify it in the way I see things. And then the next thing I do is I think about shape itself. And I'm going to put this in pretty flat. I draw with new pastels. I'm drawing just on a Strathmore drawing paper, mid-tone drawing paper. And I very seldom draw with any point. I draw at the beginning for sure. I try to block in, get my big shapes in to a certain point with the darks. Not going to be, and it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just trying to find things in the right, put them somewhat in the right place. I kind of have an idea of where things go from measuring, breaking it into that quarter. But I want to find the overall, go in and start cleaning up the shape of things.
And I'm just going to cut in real quick, everybody.
Sure.
Start posting your work. It's hashtag drawing hive 239, right? Right. It is. Hashtag drawing hive 239, hashtag drawing hive and at visual arts passage. Post it to Instagram now. We're going to check it out at the end of the episode. Please don't wait. It likely will not rank if you wait till the very end to do all of it. John, proceed. And also, I want to say this. If you've been tuning into Drawing Hive regularly and you're hearing about John's figure drawing class and you're like, well, I draw on Thursday nights. This is not a paid for Drawing Hive class. It's not just like a drawing meetup. It's entirely instructional. I just wanted that to be very clear. It's not just like an open drawing session. Yep.
We will draw though.
Yeah.
And we will draw together. You're constantly measuring. I'm always bouncing all over the place, trying to get a starting place with my information. I'm doing this and Ray's going to be done with his before I even get going.
Yeah, right. If that's the case, then Adam will be on his fifth piece.
Well,
Yeah.
it's easier when you're only drawing the stunt doubles.
You're not.
Explain that, Adam.
Yeah.
Oh, you know,
It's a funny line.
it's gonna look almost like Nicolas Cage. It's like if this was like the action scene and it's happening like really fast and it's a little out of focus and you would think this guy was Nicolas Cage jumping off the wing of an airplane or something.
Just put a little Gaussian blur.
Right, right. But it's his stunt double.
You know, that's one of the reasons. And again, I think it's a great subject. First of all, it's, you know, for the meme aspect and, you know, chasing online with fun things to draw, movies, all that kind of stuff. And it relates to celebrity portrait and celebrity and all of that. But drawing likeness is such a healthy thing to practice because I mean, you gotta be able to really observe and um to check yourself as a drawer. I always thought if I can, you know, if I can get a likeness of somebody, I must be, you know, doing something fairly well. I say that, and this is going to look like, you know, Sean Penn.
You know, it could look like what's his name?
Elvis.
Face Off. No, yeah, you could do
Oh,
Elvis.
you could accidentally draw John Travolta, right?
Yeah. Take his face off. I did the hand thing where he removes his face. Just for anybody wondering, I did it to nothing.
I mean, the movie's
Dude,
meta, folks.
Yeah. No, you know, we're always trying to just appease the mob. And I posted this and immediately two people were like, this is such a dumb topic for this week. What do you do? What do you do?
Well,
What are you gonna
I'm gonna argue that. I think Nick Cage was an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Interesting subject. And you know, when I first saw him, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I think, or Valley Girls, I don't know which one was first, but when I first saw him, he was just so different looking. I mean, he stood out from the crowd because he was very unusual. He was uh not what you were expecting. And boy, did he build a career on that.
Yeah.
He-
Also, gotta give him props for changing his name, you know?
Coppola?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he was primed to be like a nepotism success during a time where nobody really dogged on nepotism. And he was like, nope, I'm gonna change my name to Nicolas Cage. Yeah.
Forgot about that.
I mean, I'm not saying he's like a saint or anything. I just think that that's an interesting choice to make. I
Yeah.
guarantee he's not a saint.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Saint,
Emilio Estevez did the same
saint
thing,
with a
right?
checkbook.
Yeah. He's going to be buried in a temple, I believe. So I find, or a pyramid of sorts, which I find interesting. I guess
Timmy,
nobody
I
else-
just
yeah.
wanted to point out that when John said he had a good run, I
Yeah.
interrupted because I said, I don't know if you heard me. I said, red box run, I agree.
Red box run. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think that he still serves up hits.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I I love, I mean, yeah, someone, yeah, I mean, yeah. Adaptation. I mean, that's an older one, but fantastic.
What was that?
He'll always be H.M. McDonough to me.
This is Cassandra's gonna be like, how did the episode go without me? And we're gonna be like, we just named off Nick Cage movies for 2 hours. Pretty sure everybody loved it. Pretty sure we killed it, Cassandra.
It's not often you get to participate in the greatest episode of Drawing Hive
Yeah.
history.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I just don't know what to say other than just to name another Nick Cage movie.
I'm
That's
gonna
right.
name the ones that were like, what was the one that he after Taken came out, he did one. Like he was doing these like offshoot movies with like it was the same plot with a
Like
slightly
Tooken.
different name.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Abducted or something like that, or
Took. Yeah.
Took. Yeah.
Don't forget Gone in 60 Seconds.
That's just a
Oh yeah,
great movie. That's just a great movie. Also harkens back to a time where a movie could absolutely kill it, just be amazing, be a total blockbuster, succeed beyond expectations, and then be like, you know what? One was good. No
But
sequel,
sometimes you gotta
no
you gotta strike
spinoff.
the iron.
Yeah.
You gotta strike it and keep striking it like National Treasure,
yeah.
which I still
Nash-
maintain is he had a
National
good run
Treasure
with
is a
those.
good movie. It's a romp. It's a romp.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah, National Treasure. But then yeah, his range, Long Legs, Mandy. There's a couple like cosmic horror films he's done that are amazing. Um, just seems like a really fun time. The guys who directed the film Crank, did you ever see Crank with Jason
Yep.
Statham? It's
I have no
it's
idea what you're talking about, Timmy.
is it, are we not allowed to like it?
I
It might
totally
be.
didn't see that and the sequels.
Yeah, I also did not
Twice.
watch and enjoy. I also did not watch and enjoy the films Crank and Crank 2, High Voltage. Um, however, I heard from a friend that the directors, the two brothers that directed it, so they do that film, and that those films were very like shoot from the hip, budgeted movies, like Craigslist casting movies, right? Um, and then they got their big opportunity to do like a superhero movie, and they got to do Ghost Rider, and
Oh yeah.
they demanded that they get to work with Nick Cage, and they said he's their favorite person. I never saw a Ghost Rider, so I'm gonna guess
Did
it's
they
probably
do
not
the
that great, but
did they do the second one? I thought they did the second one.
I'm not sure. I just remember
Spirit of
they like
Vengeance.
it's whatever one where they it was a big deal to them that they got to work with Nick Cage, because I've heard multiple directors say the two male actors that are like the best actors you can possibly work with are Nick Cage and Adrian Brody, and it's because they will never do a take the same way more than they will never they always give you something new, which is kind of
Oh my
interesting.
god.
And I can
Apparently Nick
imagine that that would drive certain directors nuts.
well, apparently Nick Cage was such a big Ghost Rider fan that they had to digitally remove Ghost Rider tattoos that he had on his arms.
That's good. Yeah. All right. Is it out of our system yet, or is there still some Nick Cage love?
I'm holding back. Okay, I just want to let you know that I'm proud of myself for showing restraint here. So
We're proud of you.
Someone says Ghost Rider came out right around when he bought the pyramid, and it's not very good. I'm gonna go ahead and agree that during the pyramid burial site purchase, yeah, things were probably pretty grim. Yeah.
get to loose.
Ray, this is looking awesome. Nice.
Oh, it's a mess. I'm the only thing I'm thankful for is the fact that I'm painting with acrylics, which dry fast, so I can cover this up as soon as possible. But thank you though.
Yeah.
I know what Ray was doing. He was thinking, God, I'm going to show John up. I'm going to do the same reference. I'm going to show him up and make him look bad. I'm going to do a painting. He's going to be drawing in a crayon or something.
Yeah, I was looking over your shoulder trying to see what the composition was like so I could steal it. You know. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a great cropping. If I do it first, then he's copying me. So
That's a nice piece of reference. It's a shame if something could happen to it.
yeah.
Nice.
I haven't drawn in a long time. I mean, I've drawn like on paintings, but I haven't like sat down and drawing.
Yeah, I've been bossing people around while they draw.
That's
It's
the
not
best
quite the
way.
same thing. Yeah.
Ray, how do you keep a steady hand with a brush that long?
You hold it from the end, and you always paint with your arm. You draw. You go from your shoulder, not your wrists.
Yeah.
As much as you can.
You just got your money's worth tonight. That's good information.
What happens when you use your wrist too much?
You make really short strokes, and they can be really wobbly.
Mhm.
And when you don't draw with your shoulder, it's it can. People say I can't draw a straight line, and I say, well, just use a ruler or draw from your shoulder. Boom,
Ah.
done. You know.
Interesting. Yeah, Ray Bonilla, he's all shoulders. He's all shoulders.
He's all-
that guy.
My nickname in college, shoulders.
Yeah. Have you guys been taking when's the last time y'all have been to a museum? Anyone recently seen anything good?
I went to the Boston MFA. Very quick trip last weekend.
Oh, nice. What was
Got to-
on show?
They were kind of in between shows. They're putting up a Van Gogh show that's opening up, I think, in a month or two.
Mhm.
But I just saw the permanent collection. They have a great Sargent collection and the bunch of paintings from the Boston School of Painting, which painters I absolutely love.
Yeah.
So I got to take advantage of being here.
You and Dale go hang out? Was that what's going on?
No, I was chasing around a small version of me.
You bring your
Nice.
scanner?
Yeah.
I was in New York all last week, and this is kind of fun. This is my first trip to New York where I know enough comedians that I can hit them up and they'll give me a free ticket to a show, right? This is a big deal to me because that has never ever been the case, right? And so
That's
I got to
awesome.
go to the cellar like 4 times. It was awesome. Like,
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
it was it was so fun. And there's a coffee shop next to the cellar. This is why I bring it up because I was thinking about New York and how it's amazing how there's all these museums, but then there's just like beautiful art kind of like hidden throughout the city. Like, kind of, I mean, it's just you would never know where it is, right? And this always cracks me up. The coffee shop, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it's Reggio's. That might be it. But their big claim, they make two big claims. They're wild. One, they invented the cappuccino.
That's pretty
Right?
big.
Yeah, it's a big one. There's like, I mean, but what you would expect, standard. I think that's fair game. If you're in New York, I'd be like, you're opening a coffee shop, you got to just claim one of the coffee drinks. Just say you
Yeah.
did it. Just claim it. It's fair game. Everybody's doing it, That's one. Two is that, and I highly recommend it. It's not a good coffee shop, but it's cool in that the ambiance is like somebody threw a grenade into a library. Like,
Oh,
it's just everything is everywhere. There's paintings all over the wall, like all the way up. It's maximalist to the T, right? Paintings like from floor to ceiling, right? And their other claim is that they own an original Caravaggio painting that is up on the wall.
No.
Yeah. And this is my favorite thing. Every single and I believe it's owned by an older Italian gentleman. And every time I've ever been there, I think it's hilarious. When I see him walking by, I'll be like, hey, which there's all these paintings around there, and they claim that one is a Caravaggio. And I'll be like, hey, which one is the Caravaggio? And he'll just be like, yes, Caravaggio. and, and it is hilarious. He'll just be like, yeah, we have it. Don't worry about it.
I love
Yeah,
it.
he has enough decoys that people just accept it. Yeah. But yeah, I was joking with somebody because then also it's not as hidden, but the Society of Illustrators having just yeah, I don't know.
Norman?
Yeah, well, Norman Rockwell, but also like I've had meetings with art students that are looking at our program that live in New York and don't know that's there, And so it's always fun because then I get a follow up. They're like, "Oh my God, I went. It's amazing." So it's cafe. It's also
Incredible
it's
place.
Cafe Reggio, and it's in Greenwich Village. It's literally next door to the cellar. It's also fun because if you go get a coffee there on any night, especially like a Sunday night, if you go like late and get a coffee there, you'll see a famous comedian. It's fun.
Tomorrow night's the first half of the Society of Illustrators annual opening.
Really? So a lot of people in New York, I'm sure.
Yep, a lot of illustrators,
Yep.
directors.
For somebody who doesn't know what the Society of Illustrators is, what would be like your really simple?
It is the organization that has curated American illustration since 1901. There's 128 East 63rd Street in Manhattan, New York. And it's an old carriage house. I think they've had the building since 1950, that building, somewhere in there. And they've remodeled it. It has a gallery. It's about 5,000 square feet, multiple floors, and it's got a restaurant and bar and great gallery space, great meeting space. It's actually very attractive, very charming. And it is kind of the home of there's other organizations too, but for me, it's always been like the place, the thing.
Well, it's been around so long as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which that's a big deal. I mean, to stay around that long, that's pretty wild for any organization.
Yeah. And they have Norman Rockwell donated a piece, I think in mid 50s. And maybe how they secured the building. I have no idea. Shouldn't be saying stuff I don't know, but I know that they acquired, Norman gave him that carriage painting, and I'm sure it's worth multiple times what the building is.
Yeah, it's not a small
How much
piece.
would I can probably how many millions of dollars do you think a Norman Rockwell piece is?
I think that one was appraised at one point, and this was years ago. It was over $13 million. The last number I heard, and that's been over a decade. So God knows what it is now.
Yeah, I got some bad news. That building's probably worth close to that too. Unfortunately,
I'm sure
unfortunately.
I'm sure that painting's worth a lot more than that now too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were considering all kinds of stuff. There's
Yeah.
airspace, that you own above your building
Right.
in New York. And so they considered like doing something with their airspace. There was all kinds of things, but
Wait, the Society of Illustrators was?
yeah, they were talking
Okay.
about doing a big addition, and
I see. Yeah,
this was years ago.
I see. Yeah. It is funny. The last time I was at the Society of Illustrators, I went up and got a drink at the bar, and um I was trying to make small talk with the bartender, and I was like, pretty amazing. You probably work at one of the most expensive bars, like the cost of the what's behind the bar is probably the highest in New York. And she was just like, what is this guy talking about? And I was like, it's a Norman Rockwell painting. And she was just like, what? And I was like, okay, no. I tried.
Unless you go to the St. Regis.
I was like, I tried to have small talk. I did my best. Yeah. It's definitely it's a good visit. It's a good visit. It's also a very light visit, which is nice if you're not you're not ready for like a 3-hour visit to a major
Currently a friend of ours, somebody I just did a talk with recently, Leslie Coburn, is the president of the Society of Illustrators.
I got lunch with Leslie on Monday. Yeah.
That's great. Wonderful person, really good artist. You get a chance, listen to the talk I did on her. Her and her father. They're having a show together right now. Well, her father's passed away, but they're having a show of out on Long Island of her work and his work.
That's great.
Leslie's pretty impressive.
And a really genuinely nice person.
Yes.
Absolutely. And good artist.
Yeah.
And we joked a lot during that because we know a lot of very similar stories. We never met each other as when I was growing up. She's younger than I am by I don't know how many years, but maybe a decade. And but our parents were very good friends. Alan E. Kober, one of the great American illustrators.
So you guys have very similar like life experiences in a way.
Very much so. Know a lot of the same. It's funny, we know a lot of the same people.
Well, but you're both artists that, you know, followed in the footsteps of your dads. That's
Yep.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I told her that she was so good when she was young. I mean, she started very young. She was so good with young that she had a lot of confidence to do it. And I said, I was just so stupid. I didn't know anything better. So I just did it. That's what I did is became. Who in their right mind would think it was a good idea? I guess the Wyeth family was kind of that way. I'll just be an artist.
Yeah.
I wonder if Andy considered this guy in front of me is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
I remember reading stories about how NC was really worried that Andrew Wyeth wasn't going to make a living.
Yeah, well, you should have talked to my dad. We had the same name. I had to change my name when I got to school. And I finally at one point I told him, I said, I think the whole thing is, I said, you're just afraid that I'm going to be a really bad artist and I'll be, you know, producing work with your name. And
Funniest thing ever is because my dad also gave me his name, and I always gave him so much trouble for this. Is I was like, you had the ego to name your kid after yourself, but then also the ego to be like, but there can only be one of me.
you're gonna have to change that.
Yeah, and he's like, so you can't go by Tim, and it's like, wait, what? Yeah.
I love the idea of you coming out of high school graduation with your cap and gown. Your dad saying, congratulations, son. Also, we're going to change your name.
No, it wasn't then, Ray. But go ahead. I'd
No,
started.
but this is how the story is going to go.
Oh, okay. I want to
For
hear.
me or for John?
No, for John, you know, like just like this, you know. Oh, thanks, Dad. Wait, what? What are we changing my name? I'm thinking John. Well, that's sort of okay. And he's like, great. All right, let's go to dinner.
Yeah.
You can call me Mark.
Yeah. How it happened, Ray, is I came home from college. I had John Collier as an instructor when I was a sophomore at KU. And he had a senior class, which somehow I worked my way into that. And part of the project, this involves your father, Timmy. Part of the project was to have mailers designed and made. And so I went to Timmy's father to have my class. He did like 8 of us that
My dad was a printer, for anybody
yeah.
wondering. Yeah.
And he printed these mailers for us. And I had it printed. I didn't even think about it. I remember showing my dad being really proud of it. I liked the piece that was on there and stuff. And he looked at it and goes, "That's great, but you can't use it." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "I'm Mark English. You're not." Because only one of us can exist as an artist with that name. And
Yeah.
so,
And then my dad was probably like, maybe you guys could have had this conversation earlier.
yeah, before I would have printed that.
Yeah, he was like, maybe these
So
artists.
it did not get reprinted to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it may sound like my father was cold. He wasn't. He was actually very thoughtful, knew that
No.
there would be issues for me as, following him. And
Mine was more of I got in trouble a couple of times. I think my dad became aware that maybe there was possibility that there were going to be some police reports in the future. And he was like, we don't want people to get confused. Yeah,
kind of worked out the other way around though, didn't it,
yeah,
Tim?
it did. It did. Most of the police reports are my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah. You, oh. Yeah, police report. That's been my experience with my grandfather. Police reports make genealogy projects much easier.
Oh, I was doing when I
Yeah.
did that comic about the guy who dynamited the whale in Long Beach Island.
You
Oh, that's a
illustrated
great story.
yeah, wait,
Love
but
that
Adam,
story.
but you illustrated a comic book for
Yeah,
that?
it was a 4-page comic for Weird New Jersey.
Okay.
They had a home video from 1959 that was the only known documentation of this event, and they asked me if I would be willing to sort of do something. Basically, they were like, do something with this. So I started researching the event, and I could find almost nothing until I started with crime logs.
Yeah.
And then the guy who's central to the story, it was like his biography happens in small claims court, basically.
You consider
Amazing.
the beginnings of the story, it makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. Now, my grandfather was a pretty epic guy. Now, there's several. He actually made, what's really impressive about him? He made national news in the 1930s.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
We don't need to talk about it, but
Right.
but it's more.
It was national. You just can't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. He also served in World War II. So be respectful, everybody.
And
That's double
how
two
old
things.
was he? How old was he in World War II?
He was 45. Isn't that wild?
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's pretty shocking. I was telling somebody the other day that and I'll say this in the simplest way. I was telling somebody like after I did this genealogy project, it was pretty astounding to me to realize and I'm doing this to gain Italian citizenship, so it goes all the way back to the old country. So my great grandfather, and I've learned about so many people because when you have missing documents, you kind of sometimes have to dig deeper to find a missing document from a missing document from 1920. You might have to learn about somebody from like the 1800s, right? And one of the things that was really profound to me was I am the first generation of males in my family line that was not drafted into a war.
Wow.
Pretty in 100 and it was 140 years. Every male preceding me, like in direct line preceding me, was drafted into some type of war. So we don't have to comment on it, but I'm thankful for that. I don't know. It's fun to I find I think genealogy is so interesting. Just you don't learn about like the people before you too much,
Mhm.
You start to realize how difficult it was for a lot of people, you know. I always bring it up. They didn't have liquid body wash. That was probably
Right.
really challenging. 72-hour deodorant had not been invented.
Oh.
Yeah. just
No,
listen all the really serious stuff.
right. So
Um,
my grandfather was one of four kids, five kids in like I think it was a 2-bedroom apartment in the Bronx. And they had two boarders that stayed with them. And on Tuesday nights, a brass band would practice in the living room.
really? Wow. Oh, just like for like some side cash. They just
Yeah,
need the practice space.
so
Oh
like,
man.
I just know that story. No one has ever been able to fully explain why a brass band would practice in their living room.
Of course.
It just it just was.
Yeah. This will paint a picture for you guys for my grandfather being a weird guy. In the 19 by 1940, he had been married 3 times, all in the Catholic Church, which doesn't make
No.
sense. It doesn't make sense. That's like old school Catholic Church, right? Whatever you call it, not Vatican, whatever, not Vatican 2, Vatican 1, I guess, or it's
Yeah,
Vatican
picturing this.
1.0.
I'm suddenly picturing the line from My Blue Heaven. It says, "Well, you don't think I married her under my real name."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but he definitely bribed the priest because every genealogist I've ever talked with is like, this doesn't make sense. They didn't let people do this back then.
Yeah, that
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I think that, he would have been a tough grandpa to have met.
hey kid,
You
hold
know what
this
I
for
mean?
me. And anybody,
You know,
don't tell anybody.
yeah. Yeah, he would have been he was a character.
right.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know.
But in a different zip code, he might have blown up a whale to get.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. He died from bone cancer that was caused by getting shot. And
Wow.
so it was years, like a decade later. But what's always wild is people will be like, um, oh wow, so he was injured in the war, and you're like, no, he got in an argument in a bar. You're just like, God. Yeah. So yeah, he was a piece of
Well,
work.
the first time he was shot, he was in a
Yeah.
film.
Yeah, exactly. These are the accounted for events, but it's the Italian American story. Um, but yeah, it's interesting. I think learning about history makes you appreciate now. But well, I don't know. It does for me.
Now, was there ever a moment when you were kind of digging up, your old family that you're suddenly worried that maybe Italy wouldn't want you guys back?
Oh, I joked all the time. I was like, man, I should just send them these mug shots and they'll just like let me in, right?
That's right.
Everybody start posting your work. We're moving on to the final image. It's hashtag drawing hive 239, hashtag drawing hive and visual arts passage. Posted now, don't wait.
I don't know what I was thinking choosing this one to draw.
It's great though.
Looks
So
good.
awesome.
The one thing I have learned about like storytelling over decades of time is I've learned that pretty much I'm somewhat generalizing, but I think this could be maybe an interesting conversation for like the legends that build in the art world or like the people before you. But I've pretty much realized that like every major story that I was told about my family, like of like not like active members, but people who passed away, like they all change so much to
Yeah.
a point where the stories that I hear about like my great grandfather are like not even close to remotely true. And it's not that anybody lied,
Right.
it's just like error like over time. And it makes you realize like with historical figures, you're like, interesting. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Or just like learning about the elders before you, maybe in like an industry or I don't know. They become
Yeah.
legends, like larger than life legends that like, I don't know. infallible, maybe, in a way. Have you seen like a shift in historical illustrators or painters since you were in school of like the icons, the people who are like the definitive could do no wrong, are just the iconic legends of the past 100 years to now? Like, have you seen that shift pretty dramatically?
I'm not sure I follow
What, like
that.
the masters, right? So not like just who's popular, but like who's considered academically to be.
Oh, has it changed?
Well, I'm sure it's changed, but I guess how is it? How do you feel it's changed, if it has?
Well, I think illustration is such a young, like American illustration is such a young type of art form that it's really easy to see that happen. Where like people that I found, I like, that were my heroes, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I love everything that they do. They were still alive, or the people before, like, that were alive that knew. They're actually people alive that knew them, and wouldn't think like that guy. Out of all the people, yeah, it's kind of a weenie. He's not that good, that sort of thing. So you get that. It's like you don't know many people that knew John Singer Sargent, right?
I met one
And
person. I knew one person that knew Picasso,
really,
Marshall Arizman.
Oh, that's right.
what?
Yeah.
Marshall
I didn't know
Arizman.
that.
He knew Picasso.
My favorite joke right now is Joe List, and it's him. Joe List is a great comedian. He's very funny, and the whole bit that he does, it's a pretty long bit, but it's about him learning that Picasso is like not as ancient as he thinks, right? He thinks Picasso is like way older than he doesn't realize that Picasso is from like modern time. And he pauses for a second. And he's like, guys, Picasso drove a car, which is, I think, is hilarious. But he goes, not only did he drive a car, he drove like a Honda Civic. But yeah, no, it's so great. I
I
recommend, yeah.
well, I met Walt Reed, and he actually saw Dean Cornwell paint,
Wow.
and knew Norman Rockwell and all those people, but he saw him actually paint a picture. Uh,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Wonder what the
Marshall
setting
Harrison
was
had
like
a
for
story
that.
about having to pick up Alice Neal and bring her to a party.
Can you? I bet a lot of people don't know who any of the names are that were listed. I mean, I know they know Picasso, but like maybe who is Marshall Arisman and
Marshall was a
yeah.
contemporary illustrator, passed away about 10 years ago. Somewhere in there. How, I don't know.
No,
Maybe.
no, it's only
Wow.
only 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Wow.
I got that totally wrong. I'm sorry.
That's right.
And then but was very popular as an illustrator during the 80s and 90s,
Wow.
uh into the 2000s. Very good painter, but a great teacher.
Yeah.
He ran the visual journalism MFA
illustration
program.
as illustration as
Illustration
visual
as
essay
visual
program.
essay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
visual essay.
Say that all again and just one person.
Yep. Go ahead, Adam.
Illustration as visual essay.
Yeah.
I was class of 99.
I'm glad you got to know him. He's a great guy.
Yeah. Just I mean, it's funny. He was the guy, if something scary needed to be illustrated, some horrific trend of violence, global violence, Marshall got the call to do it.
Yeah.
And his work was dark and terrifying, like Francis Bacon, but meaner.
Yeah.
And then you'd meet him, and he was just the most gracious, lovely, kind person.
I'm looking at him right now. He looks very intimidating.
He would, when we would be working late in the studios, he'd be painting, and you'd hear this little behind you, and we'd look over our shoulder, and Marshall would be standing there with a stack of Dixie cups and this magnum of red wine. And he'd say, "You want some wine? Oh, very good wine. We're having wine. Just come over to the office when you take a break. Have some wine. We'll tell stories."
That's a great
That's
impression.
good impersonation.
And to this day, every time we buy a bottle of wine for dinner or something, and Denise and I or our friends would be like, "You want some wine? It's very good wine."
Kind of Silence of the Lambsy.
He had Marshall had an inimitable vibe.
Here, I got a good image to show then. Really cool looking guy. Let
Yeah.
me share it. I'm sharing it. It's happening.
But I mean, he had stories about yeah. He had a story about giving a talk in Florida, and he was told not to leave his hotel room after 7:30. But he didn't know that till he was there. So he was like, so I get there and it's 7:30, and I thought, I'm bored. I'm going to go buy some beer. And basically he goes down to a gas station, buys a case of beer, like a 6-pack of beer. He's walking back to his motel, and he realizes like that these guys are standing at the gas station, saw him arrive,
Yeah.
watched him leave, and then left right after him and have been following him. And at first they're on the other side of the street, then they cross behind him, and now they're speeding up. And basically he's right at the moment where he's about to get mugged. He said he turned around and went, "Hey." And he said, and we were like, "Well, what happened?" Well, he went, "Hey." And I said, "Do you want some beer?" And he sat down on the curb and finished a 6-pack with his muggers.
Oh. Muggers to be. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now friends.
Right. And in the class, we're all like, all right, but what do you talk to your potential muggers about? He's like, well, times are hard.
Yeah. I just love the idea of like 4 guys being like, wasn't that weird when that guy just turned around and gave us beers?
Right.
That was weird. Yeah.
Who else were we talking about that we didn't identify?
It was yeah, Alice
Gene
Neal.
Cornwell and Alice Neal.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ray.
Dean Cornwell was a very famous illustrator back in the 20s, 30s, and early 40s, I would say. I would say,
Yeah, and I'm not saying
Yeah.
we don't need to do like biographies. I just meant like just put them in a time and a place. Like
oh, yeah. So,
just so,
Great American illustrator.
yeah.
yep.
Somebody
Very
that
popular.
like contemporaries look at now for their abilities and
Mhm.
think of him as legend.
Yeah.
Like popular to the extent that he got endorsements because he was Dean Cornwell.
Right.
Wow, what kind of endorsements?
Oh, like whiskey ads,
Gatorade.
insurance ads.
Whiskey, cigarettes. They judged, there's a whole group of them that like judged the Miss America contest. I mean,
So I'm gonna go ahead and say that this predates like 2010.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
this was the heyday of American illustrators.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Wow.
I the other day I was showing my class Bob Peak's Apocalypse Now posters, and at some point, and I finished it off with like a picture of him with his Ferrari. And I was like, guys, you're not gonna have a Ferrari.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, that YouTubers, that's
I
what
was like,
like
not
YouTube
hanging
celebrities get now.
out with me, you're not gonna get a Ferrari.
I would argue that the life that leads to you buying a Ferrari is not as fulfilling as people make it look.
Yeah. No, it gets you a Ferrari, but that's
Yeah, it gets you a Ferrari, and I don't know. People I know with Ferrari money are some of the least happy people I know. Not always though. I'm not saying I haven't met a couple
right.
people. Yeah, but yeah, it usually just brings trouble.
Adam, a few weeks ago, I did a talk on Austin Briggs, and I talked about the Henry Moores, and he had a Henry Moore and a Calder in his front yard. Um, that's not very that to me that tops Ferrari.
Say, but
Oh
like
yeah.
you remember context.
Yeah, well, Henry Moore's great sculptor.
Mhm.
In fact, Kansas City is one of his biggest some of his biggest treasures. They have the Hall family, um, which owns Hallmark, Henry Moore Sculpture Garden at the Nelson
Right.
Museum, and just a iconic sculptor, and so
But
is
what did he own? Well, yeah,
Austin Briggs owned
yeah.
Henry Moore and had it in his front yard. He owned one of his
Wow.
sculptures, which
Right.
would be worth much more than the home is.
You could find Henry Moores at every major museum
Yeah.
Yeah,
across the world.
yeah.
Yeah, and once you've seen he's also one of those like creative voices that once you've seen a Henry Moore, you then know you know a Henry Moore when you see one.
Yeah. And Calder the same way.
Yeah, yeah.
One for his mobiles more than anything. His
I,
collage.
I went to a gallery show in when I was in grad school at SVA, and they had a room of Calders which featured mobiles, but also they had his flea circus,
That's
Oh,
awesome. I
which
love
just
that.
went out.
That's
It
cool.
just sprawled out, and then there was a But to get into the room with the Calder, there was a Maya Lin exhibition that you had to walk through, which was also like this incredible meditative experience. So for people who don't know, Maya Lin created the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington. Um,
On
and
the
the piece that the exhibition I walked through at the time was that the ground was just covered in these giant blown glass orbs. And what they actually were is she had mapped out, there was a river that had dried up from being, its route being, dammed and rerouted over and over. And so she went to this dried riverbed and measured out these rocks that had been, worn smooth over millennia. And she replicated them in blown glass and then laid them out in their formation on the riverbed. And so you sort of had to walk through this space you were afraid to even breathe in, with these,
Yeah.
incredibly fragile monoliths all around your feet. And then there was Alexander Calder mobiles and a flea circus in the next room.
Wow. On the topic of kind of brushing up against iconic people, or I don't know, knowing somebody who knew Picasso, things like that. Have you guys ever known somebody whose artwork was involved in a heist?
Oh,
So not like I'm imagining that everybody maybe knows like somebody whose like artwork got stolen from like it was like in a car or like, But like have you ever known somebody whose like work was like specifically targeted for like a little heist?
Just copyright, just copyright.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
no originals really.
yeah.
no, I don't.
Huh.
I mean, spiritually, I feel like I know
Right.
Rembrandt, and
I know somebody that this is a few years ago, and John, I think I told you about it when it was happening. Um, but they were working with a big gallery in New York. They were telling me stories about she had just been hired there. She was telling me stories about how the gallery was moving some of the paintings across the country. And I was like, that doesn't. So I mean, they said like Picasso's, things like multi-million-dollar paintings, right? And they tasked this girl, my friend, to drive this large original Picasso painting. I don't know how large. It was large enough, and I don't know what encased it was. I don't know what the packaging was. I'm sure it was like, the ultimate like grade school egg drop setup, right? But she was tasked driving it across the country in a U-Haul in the middle of the winter. Like,
What?
yeah. And I was like, I was like raising alarms. I was like, this is not normal.
Right.
That is, I was like, I think you are for sure gonna get robbed on your. I was like, this is definitely an insurance scam. Like,
Yeah.
or like, because I was like, it's middle of winter. You're just leaving it in the truck, or like, what?
Huh.
Like, it's just a U-Haul. Like, what if it leaks? What if, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It sounds like a million things could possibly happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, this is for sure. This raises so many alarms. I think this is an insurance scam or fraud of some kind. And drove it across the country. Nothing wrong happened. So
Oh, really?
it just seemed like people just making
Yeah.
bad choices and got lucky. Yeah.
So it was not an art heist, but my wife's cousin was working security um for like an armored truck robbery. To the so
Oh,
he's on duty when this like Brinks armored
yeah.
car was stolen.
Oh,
And
that's just traumatic.
I mean, the
Yeah.
heist was actually, but the heist of it was apparently big and dramatic enough that like someone played him on the Unsolved Mysteries TV show.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I hope they weren't. I hope that wasn't too traumatic. I mean, it would be traumatic.
Right.
Yeah, that's I think the nice thing about like the fantasy of an art heist is it always happens at night.
Yeah.
People are no innocent people are really involved, in
Yeah.
like the romanticized version of it, it's like it allows this kind of like Ocean's 11 fantasy where there's no innocent damage, and maybe I don't know, maybe they're returning the painting to somebody who should have it. I don't know.
Right.
And basically
Right.
describing a situation that has never happened, right? Yeah.
Right.
The person who actually owned the painting
Yeah.
is the person that hired the thieves to steal
Right.
it back for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the world is generally not full of dishonest people who just happen to be doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know
They're
if
not
this
doing it
is
honestly.
I don't know if this is like too heavy, but I did read a pretty in-depth article about how a lot of stolen artwork from major museums around Europe, it's stolen without the intention of resale. I'm not saying most of it, not majority of it, but just this is very common. It is stolen and then basically stored as a collateral in case a person is arrested, like the thief, if they are arrested, they can use that as a negotiating tool.
Huh.
Wow.
To basically say, I know the whereabouts of this artwork. And in exchange, in exchange for like a better sentencing, I can reveal it. Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, no, they're not returning. They're not doing a Robin Hood thing, unfortunately. This belongs in a museum, but they're like stealing
So
it
do
from a
you.
museum. This belongs in a different museum.
Yeah.
this belongs in my house.
This belongs in my house.
So this
You're
is
the
not a story about.
John, you would be the anti Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I years ago I illustrated this book called Lost and Found about a school lost and found. It was this very quirky, funny children's book, and the guy who wrote it, his name is Bill Harley, and I've illustrated other things he's done over the years, and what I loved is he sort of like creates, like, he'll like leave you challenges in the, like, if you know what you're looking for, you realize like he's challenging you in his manuscript. Like there would be a spread that just says, after that things got weird.
I see.
And you know, or like when I was illustrating his chapter books, he would like make up a TV show that the kids in it were watching, just so I would have to like draw up the, you know, the supervillain from it. But so this book about the lost and found, the plot of it was basically like there's this custodian who's terrifying because he's just this cranky old guy, and so no kid has ever gone to the lost and found for anything, so it's just full of things from the dawn of time. But he only ever specifies like 2 of them, and the rest of them were like up to me to figure out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was like a dream. Like anything he wrote was like a dream, because it was just you got to make your own version of his story.
You're the perfect person for that, because I could see certain people being like, come on, just tell me what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this was
That-
it was great. So on the cover,
Yeah.
I hid Vermeer's piano lesson, the piece that was stolen from the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum.
Okay.
And
It's misplaced.
so the month that the book came out, the FBI actually released a statement announcing they had their first ever lead in the investigation.
Really?
Yeah. And we really tried to capitalize on that for sales, but like we you know, he wrote fake press releases about it, implicating Mr. Rumkowski, the custodian.
Yeah. Fake press releases are
Right.
so funny. Fake news stories.
Yeah.
Hilarious. That was yeah. That was the thing my dad used to do all the time. When he got hired to work for the Cousteau Society, and the week after they hired him, he delivered an LA Times newspaper that he fake printed that he was on the cover indicted for embezzlement. It's so
Can you tell people what the Cousteau Society is? Because
Oh yeah, sorry, you
what
got
you're
me.
saying is hilarious.
Yeah, he was working with Jacques Cousteau, the inventor of the aqualung. They were like an environmental group, a documentary film group in the 70s and 80s. But yeah, fake news stories, it's so funny, especially if you can do it right. It's a really good prank. But yeah, somebody
That's
asked,
so.
John, what type of pencils, lead are you using? Same with you, Adam.
Type of pencil?
Well, I meant Adam, what
Oh.
type of lead are you using? What material are you using? You're using New Pastel, right, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I am using this Cretacolor black graphite.
Mhm.
So it looks kind of like charcoal. You know, it's a really rich velvety black, and it you know, smears like a pencil, but not like charcoal. And it's, but unlike regular graphite, it's actually fairly matte. So if you know, when you go to photograph it or scan it, you don't get a whole lot of like silvery sheen on it. And then I've got it in this lead holder that my dad made on a lathe for me.
Whoa,
That's cool. I was wondering
that's
about
one
that.
of a kind.
Yeah, there are like you know, $7 and $10 like plastic lead holders you can get to hold these things in.
But when you get your dad to make one,
Yeah.
Right?
that's the big tough. Big time.
Yeah, my dad will get on these kicks. Like every kid in the family, for instance, has a rocking some kind of animal. Well, and they got more and more extravagant. Like, so it would start off with like a rocking triceratops, and then maybe a rocking rhinoceros, And he eventually worked his way up to like a rocking Jeep and a rocking airplane. You know, in which case people would always say things to him like, Larry, you could make these things for a living. You could go into business. And he was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm making them for grandchildren.
Wow.
It's like, I don't want to turn this into work. It's
That's
fun.
that's the dream, to be like an artisan that like has to do no customer service at all.
Right.
Just and you know, and then you have like a 3-year long wait. That's the dream.
Yeah.
3.
You know, like you got a wait list of like a wait list that will have people on it when you die, you know? Like
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's your deposit back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't even get the deposit. Literally, my dad he hired a guy to design his boots. This artisan guy, and he was like 90, and I was like, he's got a 3-year long. What were you thinking? He was 90 and he's done a 3-year wait list. Like, this is a terrible idea. You know, he made you send, part of the deal was you had to send your favorite pair of boots to him, and he would use those to model his perfect boot for you. And you're like, this is, and then you don't get your favorite boots back because he's like, I've made better boots. Like the ego, you had to respect it. Like,
Wow.
Wow.
yeah,
So he's at a deposit and his favorite pair of boots.
you lose the deposit, favorite boots. He outlived my dad, but he never
Wow.
made, I think he sent the boots to my mom, and we all pray. My dad's foot was like an elephant foot. So it would be a shame if anyone could ever fit them. It would be a true tragedy. You know? Eh. But yeah, yeah, that's the dream. You'd be like you know, yeah, 3-year wait list, and you get to treat your customers terribly. Yeah,
There was a painter, I'm not gonna say their
yeah,
name, but where, very well known, very successful, and one of the there was a thing on there. They launched a website. The website's just extravagant, okay? And one of the packages, you could buy these things. You buy like pieces and prints mostly.
yeah.
And one of the things you could buy was dinner with them, like a VIP experience
Uh-huh.
of looking at basically having them come over. That you come over to the studio, and then they would guarantee an hour dinner with
Oh,
red wine. And it was like limit to 4, and it was like the price was extravagant. It was thousands of dollars, thousands per
really?
person. Yeah. And I thought to myself, yeah, I could do that. If you order takeout,
Right.
That was that for a really long time. That was like a Jay-Z thing. What's better, dinner with Jay-Z or $500,000? It was the dumbest thing ever. It was like $500,000 is far better than just having dinner with Jay-Z.
Yes.
But it's
Yeah,
the idea
absolutely.
that like there's so much brilliance in these like talented creatives that like what you will gain from that hour and a half
Right.
exceeds
Right.
that, and you're just
Yeah.
like, that's stupid.
And then
And
there's
I'm not saying that because I don't like Jay-Z. I'm saying that because I don't really believe that for anyone. I think $500,000 is better than a lunch or dinner with anyone.
yes. And that's not
Yeah.
counting the ones who will just come to your party for $20,000, but
Yeah,
they won't
exactly.
talk. You can't talk to them, and they won't talk to anybody. It's
Yeah,
just the
but this is my dream,
right.
guys.
Make your party cool.
Is having a package on my website that I could sell.
You're right.
That's how I know I'll make it.
I pitched John a version of like if we ever brought the Illustration Academy back, the in-person workshop that John hosted forever. I was like, we got to do it. We'll tell people it's the one and only time we're ever doing it, and there's only one ticket.
Oh, nice. Like the Wu-Tang album?
Yeah, it's the
Right.
Wu-Tang
It's
album.
the Wu-Tang album.
Yeah.
That Ray, I'm pretty much sure, I'm positive I came up with this idea right at, yeah, Wu-Tang definitely inspired this. I was like, we could do one ticket.
Well, it's a
It's
good thing they
amazing.
beat you to it because you could have wound up with Martin Shkreli as the only person at the Illustration Academy.
Yeah, the guy who bought the Wu-Tang album.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be tough to, yeah, that would be tough.
Right.
You
I just
imagine
have
him
one tape. John, think of all the easels we carry around. There'd just be one easel. Yeah.
post interview. It was okay.
Right.
Yeah, it would just be an intolerable rich person.
All right. So why did you buy the ticket? Well, I just wanted to make sure no one else could have it.
Yeah, that
I
is
might go.
Who has the? Does he still have the
No,
Wu-Tang album?
no, I think it was seized in his like
Indictment or whatever?
indictment.
Yeah, good.
But then he probably sued to get it back, and he probably worked hard to make sure nobody could listen to it, even though he very pointedly said he wasn't going to listen to it.
Yeah, he's a terrible person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Like,
just wanted
I
no one
mean,
else to have it.
definitively, like, is a
Yeah.
bad person. Yeah. Like evil.
Like, yeah, right. Like,
And I tend to avoid, like, I think making grand statements like that, but
right.
he sucks.
But yeah, no, some people actually like, some people watch Star Wars and they go like, that Darth Vader guy, he knows how to get things done.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah, yeah. He watches it lovingly. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
he's like, he was so smart for blowing up Alderaan. That is a boss move.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's called leverage.
Yeah.
Everybody, just so we got 3 minutes before I tell y'all to start posting.
Good. I need to be rescued from these drawings. Why is Nicolas Cage hard? It doesn't look like he'd be hard.
I'm sure Michelangelo struggled with David, or it took Da Vinci years to finish the Mona Lisa. So the subject matter.
And I guess we're being hard on ourselves because there's no photos of those people.
Oh, I've got a
In
question.
Da Vinci's case, like he would do a
Yeah.
portrait, the person would die of plague the next year. The portrait was all anyone had to remember them by. Yeah.
Here's my question. If you could watch the process demonstration of any like painting or drawing from history, what would you want to see? Like, you're in the studio.
I've got 3 of them, and they're all pretty deep cuts.
All right.
Actually, no. Yeah. For illustrators, they would be. So one would be, I would love to see how Lady Agnew from what John Singer Sargent was painted. The second one would be Blind Pew, N.C. Wyeth.
Oh.
And the third one is a toss-up between any Captain Blood from Gene Cornwell or the William James Aylward's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or I think 10,000 or 20,000, whatever the Jules Verne illustration is. There's this painting from the Kelly Collection of Illustration. It's just Nemo sitting in underwater with just like this ancient city behind him. And it's like the painting that made me want to become an illustrator. It's like the only piece of illustration art that I would be like, I would do silly things to own that piece. I would love to have seen that painted.
And I know it hasn't been 3 minutes, but everybody start posting your work to Instagram. It's #DrawingHive239, #DrawingHive, and @VisualArtsPassage. We're gonna check out all the art in a bit, in about 2 minutes. So don't waste any time. We're going over there fast. John, Adam, do you guys have any?
I would love to hang out with Leonardo while he was sketching of doing a dissection and talk about being left-handed together. But beyond that, I would have loved to watch Vermeer paint the woman with scales. She's holding little measuring scales. She doesn't have
Oh
scales.
yeah. Yeah.
That one, just the paint surface on it. I saw that one when in the when I was an undergrad. The Vermeer show came through the States, and what's weird is there was a government, it was like the first ever forced government shutdown. So we had all the Vermeers in the world, and the all the national museums were closed for almost the entire show. So the opening week was there and the closing days were open, and no one got to see it for like the month in between. But
Wow.
I did. And my eyes just welled up as I stood in front of that one. The paint surface on it is just indescribable.
I have a hard time with that question.
That's why I went for snarky and teary. That was the only way I could go.
I'd probably go with Picasso just because it was Picasso. Guernica, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I don't think I would like him, but he was just so iconic. And the reason he was because he was really amazing.
I would have thought you would have said like fetch and painting or drawing, like
Yeah,
the Boris Karloff.
that stuff's understandable to me. Like I understand that stuff. I don't under it's some of the things, it's like I'd like to watch Gerhard Richter paint
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Contemporary. I'd like to watch Zoe Frank paint. I've seen her a little bit, her talking with us, but I would love to watch her paint.
Before we head over to Instagram, I do want to remind people, if you like watching amazing painters paint, this is all brought to you by Visual Arts Passage. So if this is your first time joining us for Drawing Hive, this all happens because our online art school, which is entirely focused on connecting you, our students, the artists, with the best working professionals in illustration, fine arts, visual development, and we are enrolling for the spring semester. Right now, you can save $200 on your first course or your next course with code SPRING200. And that code, it was supposed to expire tomorrow, but I just saw tomorrow's economic blackout.
Yeah, that's not a good.
Probably not a good last day of a sale. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody told me about it, unfortunately. But so we're gonna probably readjust that deadline. But it's the code is SPRING200. These classes are incredible at like really not just helping you develop your skill, but helping you develop your voice, your portfolio, and aiming that towards a career. Some people that attend are hobbyists, but our school, for the most part, it's really not a hobbyist school. It's really for like, all right, let's make this work. Let's make it so you get to do what you love doing every day, and being productive and really finding purpose with it. So go check it out. It's visualartspassage.com. All our classes are enrolling right now. Are you guys ready to see some art? Because I'm going to pull it up.
Let's do it.
Ray, yours is backwards again.
I know. Happens. It's a Photoshop glitch.
Keep telling you. You're drawing it the wrong way. You're going the wrong way.
1 second. Sorry, everybody. It's a false alarm.
This is where we're really going to miss Cassandra, because it's always sometimes I'll keep drawing and I feel like I'm listening to somebody watching fireworks.
Well, I want to, first of all, I love seeing all the artwork, but I also want to tell people, because somebody mentioned this the other week. When we say people's names, the people's names we're saying, like, "Ooh, nice job,"
Yeah.
insert name. I just want to let you know, if you're new here, there are people who've been drawing with us for 4 years. And so that's why we know their name. So don't feel like left out, draw with us for 4 years.
Well, a lot of them are our students too. So
Yeah. And
Right,
so,
right.
but we're never purposefully leaving anybody out.
Right.
I just want that to be clear,
there's a few I'd like to leave out.
Yeah.
just because they're so talented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole bunch. I mean, I'm not going to name them all off, but there's a whole bunch of good ones.
Yeah.
Keep trying to move it to a different night or something where they can't find us.
All right, people. Instagram's always weird. And if you don't get mentioned, if we don't see your work, blame Zuckerberg and post your work to the Discord channel. We'll check it out tonight.
Oh,
Good
Nice,
stuff.
Charlotta.
That's fun.
Nice.
That's really fun.
Then
Ooh.
people do it all for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow,
AJ.
AJ.
Nice.
Wow.
Wow.
That's great.
Love it.
Nice, Jeff.
Great.
Nice.
Oh.
Nice, Virgie.
I love it.
Love it. Oh, no.
I gotta turn the music off. That's awesome, though. Oh, that's awesome.
Ah,
That's great.
Nice.
cool.
Fun.
Oh,
stuff.
nice. I like that one.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Great stuff.
It's great.
Oh, damn.
Oh,
Wow,
Gary.
That's awesome.
Gary.
Wow.
Oh, man. Nice.
Nice, George.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is the most insane
Yeah.
hairline in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, wow.
that's great.
This is
Wow.
great. I love
Yeah,
that.
that's
I didn't know we did that many poses. Yeah.
nice.
I just
Meryl.
want to watch Con Air. I'm going to do it.
Right, right.
Oh, that's
Oh,
That's
wow.
amazing.
AJ, man.
good
Nice.
stuff.
Very nice.
Oh, I love that face.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Oh, that's well done.
Nice, George.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Peter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Julian, nice.
Julian, that's really nice.
You're not allowed to draw the same thing that I'm drawing.
Not right.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
It's all right.
Wow.
You could have said it. You could have said John and I.
Yeah, I know. No.
You wanted to.
Mm. Nice.
That's
Oh,
fun.
I love that one.
Marcy.
Marcy.
Yeah.
Nice, Marcy.
Boom. Done.
So weird. Love it.
Nice.
And the other
Oh, man,
piece-
Robert.
Wow.
It's
Love-
killer.
oh,
I love
Robert,
Oh
man.
man.
Wow. That's really good.
Nice.
Nice.
My goodness.
Those flowing locks.
Yep. Very cool.
I love that.
Nice.
That's great.
That is great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, gee.
Man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, wow, George. That's great.
That's great,
All right,
Nicole.
Nicole.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It's good.
I love
Oh,
it.
wow.
that's
man,
great,
Alberto.
Alberto. Wow.
Wow.
Nice. Wow.
Mhm.
Everybody's nailing the hair,
Yeah,
huh?
I know.
Yeah. It's all about the hair.
Nice. Yeah, it is.
It's nice too.
Yeah. I bet he looks at that photo longingly often. Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh, I love that one.
really cool.
It's
Very
really
cool.
Yeah.
Very Hammer-esque.
good. Nice.
Love it.
Oh, that's some Botticelli hair.
Yeah, it is.
Great.
Oh, nice. Love it.
Wow, that's great.
Nice. Oh, that's fun.
Man. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Nice,
Oh,
Bella.
that's great.
Ooh.
It's great.
Really is. I like the signature too.
Whoa,
Nice.
Wow.
Well done.
Julian. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
man.
Fun color too. It's so funny. Nice, Steve.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was
Love
fun.
it.
That's fabulous.
Easy.
Nice, Nicole.
I love it.
Oh, you got the cool factor.
Wow. Wow. Nice.
Jacket.
Wow.
Nice.
Very well done.
Mhm.
The hair.
The hair. People are just nailing it. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Eric.
Wow,
Dang.
Eric.
Dang.
Nice, Eric.
man. Ooh,
Zoomed out.
yeah,
Wow.
That's great.
yeah.
Good stuff. Nice, Terry.
Oh, I love it,
Wow.
Terry.
Jacket. The jacket's so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
People nailed it. I just flat out avoided it. Love that.
Great. Oh, nice, Andy.
All right. That's
Good
good.
likeness.
All right.
Yeah.
Ephraim. Nice
And
job.
Bluey. I like it. Bluey
I love
is always there.
always welcomed. at Drawing
Always
Hive.
welcome. We'll do a Bluey night eventually.
Nicole, I love it.
Yeah.
I should have
Nice.
done that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Alberto. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. This is one of those nights where I wonder what I did with my time.
Yeah.
You're like, did I talk
Wow.
too much? Is that?
Yeah, it's like, what was I doing?
Oh, awesome.
Did I leave?
Wow.
Wow, Terry. Nice one.
That's beautiful, Terry.
Eyes. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Cool.
great.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow.
Well done.
Good
Love
stuff. Oh my God. I know we already saw that
Yeah.
one. Nice.
that. I love the stars. Nice.
nice.
Nice, Danny. Oh, that's great, Nicole. Wow.
Good stuff.
Love it. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That's yeah.
Nice job, Sherry. Nice. Wow. It's got
Oh, wow.
two great ones in. Wow.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, that's the last one. I just want to
All right.
remind everybody, first of all, it was really fun drawing with all of you tonight. And I just want to remind everybody that next week we do have a guest. First of all, don't worry, Cassandra is coming back, but our guest, Kyla and Q, is coming. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited for it. If you want to join our Discord server because we didn't see your artwork, there's a link. It says join the community on our reference page. You just click that link. It'll bring you to our Discord server. Fun night, guys.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Adam.
Yeah,
Thank you,
everyone.
Raymond. Thanks, Timmy. It's a fun night.
Yeah, everybody have a nice night and re-enroll if you break the whatever the economic shutdown. It'd be so nice of you to do it with us.
And Cassandra, come back.
Yeah, get Cassandra back. All right, everybody. Yeah, please don't give up on us. She's coming back. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.